You can tell.
You're now live on Facebook.
We are now live on Facebook. Awesome. According to Lindsay, we're live. I can't tell. Let me see. I'm going to make my thing a little bit bigger here. All right. Fantastic. Well, folks, I'm going to giving it a couple seconds for some more people to hop on, because I know these things tend to start off a little slow, then they begin to pick up momentum. And there's no way that I want you folks to miss out on this today, because I have my new but already good friend, Millie, on here, and she's the author of many books. Her website address tells it all. It's OASIS in the Overwhelm. And I was just telling Millie that I, for one, I can't speak for everybody, but I, for one, some days I wake up and I am pumped up, I'm ready to go, and I'm focused on my future. I'm focused on the future, but then other days, for whatever reason, I either watch the news and all of a sudden I find myself, stuck, looking in the rearview mirror, thinking about the past. And, those days become quite overwhelming, right? And Millie has some absolutely fantastic strategies to share with us today to help us focus on the positive, to help us moving forward. And I think truly to help us all not only make our own lives better, but to truly make an impact that makes the world a better place. So welcome, Millie. Thank you so much for
Bryan.
being here today.
I'm so happy to be here because I found out about you from my friend, Kim LaChapelle, and then I read what you're doing, and they feel so much in sync that I'm just delighted to be here, because you're doing this from Bryan, and each person does it from who they are, and I'm doing it from who Millie is. And each of us reaches different people with our own light, energy, whatever you want to call it. So I'm tickled to be on this with you today.
That's awesome. When we were talking before we hopped on Facebook Live, and you had said, these are my people. And what's really amazing about that is, I came across this term at one point. I didn't make it up. I came across it. It's called PLUs, people like us, right?
Oh, so okay.
It's like a people like us. And what I found is the absolute best relationships in my life, like with Kim LaChapelle, our fantastic franchisee in Connecticut, in South Windsor, Connecticut. She's so amazing, but what she says to me, she goes, I didn't find the Max found me. It was like kind of like she was, driving, running through different opportunities. Where was her life going to take her next? Then she read about the Max, and it was like, wow, this is who I am. It's not like she was trying to force herself into something that wasn't. It was a match. Yeah. And when it's a match, wonderful things start to happen. So I'm hoping maybe you can shed some light on, your past and the path that took you to where you are now, just briefly maybe, because I think it's so extraordinary, the change. Change is hard for people, right? You're switching jobs and we go over and over and over. But yeah, your life went through some fantastic changes. Amazing.
Do you want to give them the brief summary before I explain, Bryan? Because you just met me. You got the brief summary there.
Yeah. So, when I read your bio and it said nightclub singer that was originally a nun, I was like, wow, this is an interesting person for sure.
So we were talking about that, and I explained to Bryan that I grew up in Kentucky, working class Catholic family, and at that time, the highest thing we could be was either a priest or a nun. And like I tease, because I'm now married to a Brooklyn Jewish guy, maybe highest he could have been was a doctor or an attorney, who knows? But I became a nun, and not an ordinary one. I knew I didn't want to be just teaching in a local school or hospital. I joined a group whose whole mission was to go to other countries in the world and learn from them and with them. And that's what really attracted me to that group. And it was the right group for me. It brought me to Bolivia and Peru in South America, which I said to Bryan that the Latino people opened my heart in ways that had never been touched before, and taught me about life in ways. And that's where music began coming in more. I was learning guitar from them, learning songs from them, enjoying doing things together. And I tease and say that they, the Latinos, converted me out of the church. So I knew that whatever God wanted me to do, it was not to remain a nun, but to leave that and be in the world as an ordinary human being mixed up with everybody and being me in that way, in ways that I could. So among them began, well, I lived in Spain then after that for 3 years too, just to be wild and crazy, after being held in. And I studied more guitar there and began singing more. So when I came back, I thought, oh, I want to do this more. So I began auditioning and I made my living for a good year singing in every Mexican restaurant in a 20-mile radius, So it was just doing that. And then I had a really bad bike accident shortly after I married my guy and had inherited 3 teenage sons from him. I thought my life was all in balance, but I went for a bike ride, was thrown over, knocked unconscious, flown to the ER at Yale University. And it was during that time, I think I was so hard-headed that I needed something intense to wake me up again to the big questions of like, who am I? And what am I here on this earth for? So during those months when I couldn't work, that's when these OASIS strategies kind of came to me, through me, because I knew that everybody I knew was so busy, they thought they didn't have time to do anything. Self-care, what's self-care? That's self. So I've created these 4 simple strategies that took 60 seconds. And if a person didn't have 60 seconds, wow, forget it. Right? So that's how it began. And then it began developing so that people wanted to be trained in it so that they could train others. And the new neuroscience gave the foundation for what we were saying, which was really, you can change the wiring in your brain. Like you're saying, we're all born with the potential to be excellent. It's how we use our minds and bodies to become what we're meant to become. So that's kind of the summary of the different chapters, which are not ended yet. Who knows what's next?
That's awesome. Let me see if I could break this down to like a simple thing that might happen in a person's life every day. It happens to me practically every day. So, every day there's a battle inside my brain. Okay. There's a side of me that's saying, get up there and do the workout, right? You got to get up, you got to do the workout because you're one workout away from a good mood, right? Like I tend, when I work out, I know I get, but still yet there's this other side saying, oh man, your shoulder hurts a little bit and, not feeling 100% up to it. It's not sunny, whatever. All these excuses start coming out. And, most of the days, because I've learned to deal with this, the side of me wins to do the workout, right? But some of the days, and people struggle with this, I think, to one degree or another. And that's what I think in this particular case. But for me, the hidden benefit in figuring this out was, wow, now I could build my business learning how to control which side of my brain, which voice I paid attention to. Now I could learn to be a better parent by focusing my intentions on more positive and such. So how does your system and what tips could you give people, especially nowadays when we're distracted by so much negativity, to stay focused on the positive?
Well, here's something that I'd like to do one of the strategies with you right now so you can get a hit. I don't know if you're familiar with Thich Nhat Hanh. He was a Vietnamese Buddhist monk when the Vietnam War was going on. And after I had my really bad bike accident, I had the good fortune to spend a week with him. And the simple man who is still alive, even though he had a big stroke, I can remember him teaching the kids at this retreat. He brought them down to the lake because he thought if the kids get it, we adults might get it. So he brought them down to the lake and invited them to pick up a stone. And I didn't bring my stones with me. So right now, Bryan, pick anything you have. I'm going to take my watch that I have right here. If you have a stone, a paper clip, whatever you have,
Be anything at all. Let's see.
anything at all, anything at all.
Yeah, I gotta make sure. There we go. Okay,
What do you have so I can see
Well,
it?
okay. This is what I've got, just because of the environment. This
I
is
can't.
bottle cap. It's a bottle cap.
Wonderful. Okay. So it really doesn't matter what it is. I like to do it with the stone because they're so natural, but I didn't bring one with me here. And he taught the kids, he told them the story that he was in Vietnam when the war was going on. The kids didn't know about it, but he said it was really a time like today when so many things were happening. And he wanted to be out there to help people, but he wasn't used to being in the streets. And you kids, we people now are in the streets. I'm not in a monastery. He said he was in the monastery, he could stay calm and compassionate, but being in the streets, different story. So he said he had to try to find a way to help him get grounded, calm, and clear quickly so that he could be right there with whatever was going on. So he explained to them it was not like a meditation where you close your eyes and go away to a peaceful place. He said, no, this is training your emotional muscles to be right here, right now, with whatever's going on. It's going to sound simple, but it's like training for the Olympics. You can get a hit and then keep doing it. So usually when I do this, Bryan, I do it for 10 breaths, but maybe since our time is short, we could do it for 5 breaths. Does that sound okay to you?
Sounds great.
And I like to begin with an exhale, and I'll tell you why. When we hit that threat place, and it's either fight, flight, freeze, it closes us up, and we often don't have breath, and we can't inhale. But if you blow out, nature abhors a vacuum, so the in will come in on its own. So beginning with a nice gentle exhale, you might want to put the other hand on your belly so you can feel it. Just and let the fresh come in through your nose. And another exhale out. And if your mind goes somewhere else, like, what am I going to have for lunch? What am I doing today? Don't fuss at it, because that's what our minds do. Just come back to your object, eyes open, in your next breath. And I think I'm on my 5th now. And a strong, gentle inhale. Just from that place of pause, look at your object and look at me on the screen, look at you in your room, and whatever you notice, not with judgment, just with curiosity, what are you noticing inside you, outside you, right now?
It's a bit calmer than it was before.
Yeah. How do you feel the calmness? Where and how?
Less tension in the shoulders, less tension throughout the body, less busyness in my mind.
Mhm. How much did it cost?
See,
How long did it take?
maybe a minute, maybe probably less.
Less. You know, it's interesting. I've done this with the whole room full of people, and I'll often ask, what did you notice? And a lot of people say they feel calmer. And I'll ask, did anybody feel more agitated? And if somebody has the courage to say yes, I say, congratulations, you did it right too, because you took the time to notice what's going on. So you can notice and then you can make change. Sometimes I do it and I go, man, I am wired. I'm really. So it's the invitation, the signal that I can change my channel to, okay. How is that for you?
That's awesome. That's great advice. I think that'd be really helpful because yeah, the tightening, right? Like I think that's something that a lot of people, you know, experience.
Yeah.
You know, when you go and does that come from the fight or flight, right? And your body's telling you danger or something.
Yeah, our stress, when we feel in danger, it's that limbic system that kicks in and we either want to like, or fight or whatever. And the stress hormones kick in a good way. And if we're getting away from a lion, that's terrific. But if we're just simply pissed because somebody cut us off in traffic and we hang on to that, and the simple noticing of it, Jill Bolte Taylor, who has a wonderful YouTube, My Stroke of Insight, she was a neuroscientist who suffered a stroke, and it helped her realize how the left and right brains work. And she said simply, we can kind of short circuit that fight, flight, freeze if we and let some air get into the frontal cortex that knows how to think and choose. And it's not simply reacting. We're responding to something that's real instead of an old fear about the past or the future. So on those mornings when you wake up and don't feel motivated, I love how you use that word, motivate, which literally, I had 4 years Latin in high school. And do you know the root meaning of motive is from movere, which means to move, to move. And it's something moving towards something you want or need. So I'd like you to imagine you're in bed and it's one of those mornings when it's like, oh God, my shoulder, oh, it's raining besides. And go to that channel. Just go there on purpose right now. And I don't give that channel a name. What would you call it?
What would I call that channel? So the chat, I actually would, you know, I don't actually have a name, but I'm going to give it a name right now. Let's see. I don't know. Oof. Now that's going to offend some people if I call it the name of a news channel. That won't work. Yeah, it's just negative. It's just a negative. It's a low energy. Low energy
like
channel.
Energy sucker. It's
like a vampire. It's like a vampire sucking the blood out of you type of thing.
So your vampire channel. So go there on purpose now. Go there so you can see what it feels like, so you can recognize it when it comes. See what it does to your body and your mind, and decide, do you want to stay there now? You can, it's a choice. Or would you rather change the channel to something else? If so, what channel would you choose right now?
High energy, positivity, future, you know, something that was showing pictures of the future, positive, not just positivity, but, you know, wow, there's a lot to look forward to. There's opportunity inside of everything, every chaos, there's opportunity type of thing. And this is where we're going to be in a year, you know, like, so instead of being dragged down into current events, this is where we're going to be in a year. And there's amazing opportunity around us.
Wonderful. I'm going to push you a little further because I believe that choosing something very specific makes it more real. That's like your philosophy and your direction. What is something specific that would say, oh, yes, I want to do this?
I got a couple of good things. I mean, so for one, you know, the world is changing around us, but it, you know, although it seems very contentious right now, boy, you know, civil rights and people's, we're at a tipping point, and this country is about to become even better than it is, right?
Yeah.
I know for me, being part of that and really, focusing on the amazing future that's available and that I believe is going to come out of this whole thing. Boy, that puts you can see you're right? Just talking about it, it's so much different than focusing
Wonderful.
on.
So even make it more specific. Is there a particular scene or person or something that says, like my neighbor next door is a wonderful high school principal, black man. And when you're talking about that, I can think, shaking hands with Lonnie when we can shake hands again, If something really specific to get this future moving you out of bed, it might be different tomorrow morning. I'm asking for something.
You know what I see? I mean, in terms of like the Max Challenge and all the incredible people, the franchisees, the members, all the members of all different backgrounds, right?
Good.
Getting
Good.
this together and seeing us, especially the franchisees, I see us getting through this, and convention next year is just absolutely amazing because we got through this together, right? And it was like climbing a mountain and we're going up, 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 up. We're really struggling because this is like Mount Everest. And I've done a couple of mountain climbs, not Mount Everest, but I'll tell you, once you get over one little peak, you get to over here, and then all you see is another peak, right? But when you get to that next one, boy, I think and finally, when you get to the top and you start the real descent, there's a couple of bumps along the road still, but when you get to the end of that, those people that you went through that with, man, the bond is tight, it's close. And all these people on the Max Challenge that are going through this together are really, truly giving themselves a gift. That's what I envision. Because at the end of it, man, are they going to be, they're going to be stronger. They're going to be better. They're going to be better, stronger together. And that's
your tangible vision. That is it. See how that feels. I could feel your energy, your whole body. Describe how that is for you right now as you focus on that.
When you told me it before that you could change in 60 seconds or 30 seconds, whatever, in an instant, really, like just boom, right? So like right now, there's a lot of energy running through my body. If I was going to sit down right now and write, I could do it like this, right? Because my mind is in a completely different place, let's say. So,
Got it.
yes,
Got it.
yeah.
Are you ready for the next OASIS challenge? Sure. I'm going to ask you on purpose to go back to that vampire channel because chances are it'll come again. It knows you, right? So go back there on purpose right now. Feel it. Let me see, change the channel so you're there.
Change the channel. There it goes.
And you got a choice again. You can hang out there or you can go to the vision of Max and all the franchise and members. Oh, do you see your face already?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, go back to the vampire again, because it may come again, and you can shift. Or you can hang out, your choice.
Yeah.
You got it?
Yeah, it's extremely, it's very powerful. It's very powerful. It's because it's instantaneously, you can put yourself in a negative or a positive state, a state that reinforces where you want to be in the future, or a state, whichever one I would guess that whichever one of these states you spend the most time in is going to determine where your future is actually happening, right? Every second that you think of.
Yeah, it's both your present and your future. Like when I was growing up, I used to think that worry was in my DNA because my mother was the queen of worry and her mother was the queen of worry. And then I found out it's not in my DNA. It's a habit that I learned early on. And if it's a habit, I can change it. So it's like when I notice something that's sucking my energy, like your vampire, it's a signal for me like, okay, what's going on here? And sometimes it's something really real that I need to do something about. If so, do it, and if not, what will give me more energy?
I think what you're explaining is truly one of the, I don't know if you would call it a secret to a happier life, but it's certainly, to me, seems so, because, without taking that step back and really looking at what's happening in the moment, okay, and then taking, I guess, accountability, is it the right word? Accountability for your own mood and your own, what's happening in your inner world, without, that's what makes us humans. Humans have this
Yes.
unique ability to step out of themselves and look and say, what is this feeling that I'm experiencing? Where is this feeling coming from? And accept it. That, I think, is a big thing too. I don't know how you feel about that, but the accepting it, because a lot of people beat themselves up. Like, why am I always feeling this way? Why am I always negative? Why am I, oh, if I only wasn't, and that's just reinforcing that feeling and bringing more of it. Whereas, okay, I'm having a moment. This is a feeling that I'm experiencing, and maybe I have an opportunity to click this button and play this tape instead. Show this
You
video
got it.
here on the
You
positive.
got it. And I think that's one of the reasons that I love what I've found out about Max Challenge, that you're dealing with reality, right? And whoever the person is, wherever they are now, whatever age, whatever shape, it's like letting them know, letting each of us know, I have the opportunity to do more, be more, if I make certain choices. I was listening to Richie Davidson, who's one of the neuroscience experts, and he said, caveman, they didn't brush their teeth. That's not in our DNA, but somewhere along the line, we learned that it's healthy to brush our teeth. And he said, 50 years ago, people didn't think about moving their bodies to become, but that's becoming more. And he is inviting us mental exercise for our health, which is exactly what we've been doing the last couple of minutes. So it's exciting that we're living that.
That's
Yeah,
so exciting because, you know, anything that you do repeatedly, right, eventually becomes a habit, right? So
you got it.
by not
You got it.
exercising our mind, and just someone else is in control, whatever's on the news is in control, whatever, but by taking control of this and doing this, systemically over time, I think it starts to get, that's where you were snapping your fingers before, now I'm remembering back. It's almost like, instead of seeing a problem, you just immediately, it's just, there's an opportunity here. It's no longer, problem, but, you're dwelling on it. It's just something my father taught me, which it's maybe a little tangential, but I think it might be helpful. Is, he said, business is a line of problems set up in a row, but just accept it.
Huh.
And don't, and he
Huh.
goes, and so then when you could recognize a problem and learn how to turn it into an opportunity, solve it very quickly, get it out of the way. He goes, but don't get upset. Oh, now there's another one, because there's another. Just recognize it, learn how to solve it, and get it out of the way, and just keep doing it. The faster you could recognize problems, turn them into opportunities, and get them out of the way,
Yeah.
the faster you're going to rise up, because that's what, and truly, I think that's what, in a lot of ways, life is too, right?
Yes, because it's a constant change. We never know what's going to be next. And even these simple 60-second things, we have to keep doing it. It's like, I'm hoping that 60 seconds gives you a taste so that you might want to spend more time with your mental awareness.
Yes. Yes.
So, wow, the time's going by, right?
Definitely.
Do we have?
Oh, that's true. We're almost at 12:30 here. So let's see, could you give them just one more tip? Give our members just one more tip, because there is so much change in the world right now, and change, you froze, but there you are. Change seems to bring out fear. And so one last tip for, okay, people are fearful. They don't know what the future brings. One last tip for people to stay focused on the positive, move forward, discover who they are, and bring out the best in themselves, even during all this craziness.
I think I would say it's bringing to mind those two key questions. Who am I? And what am I here for right now? Like right now, I'm here to be with you, right? And in 20 minutes, I'll be there to eat my lunch. But it's like the awareness. Just I start today with those questions because it changes minute by minute. Who am I? What am I here for? If that tip helps, and may I ask you one more question?
Sure,
Okay. Well, I had two, but I don't know if we have time. Can I ask two?
definitely.
Okay. What do you most enjoy about being with your Max Challenge family?
What do I most enjoy about being with the Max Challenge family? So the most gratifying, the most gratifying experience that I've ever had in my entire life, right? Is, and I think that this is actually one of the most powerful forces in the world. It's gratitude, right? It's gratitude. And when I'm doing something that I truly love, right? Helping other people, I really do like helping other people. And they're really benefiting from it. It's just like, wow, like all of a sudden you're in this place and it's what do they call it in sports? Flow. You know, you're in flow. It's just, you're not even really, it's just natural.
Yeah.
It's just happening. So the Max Challenge, the people that we've attracted, that I've attracted, that we've all attracted at this point, it's not just me, allows me to be myself, right?
Yes.
And that
Yes.
is amazing, you know, to be able to wake up to be
Yes.
myself and for people to
Yeah.
appreciate it. And,
Yeah.
you know, there's this back and forth. And when you're getting appreciation and gratitude and you're giving appreciation and gratitude, everybody's being lifted up. It's pretty amazing.
You got it. You got it. So that helps me suggest one more little strategy. Before you go to bed at night, just have your little journal and write down at least one thing that you're grateful for that happened that day. One thing. Now, here's my last question, though. It's for you and for me. We've been together. I just met you 45 minutes ago, right? And we've been talking for a little more than a half an hour. Let's each pause for a couple of seconds, kind of go through it all like it's a movie, and select what's the best that I am taking from this time with you today. And I'll say it, and I'll ask you to say. You could go first if you want.
Sure. So the number one thing for me is this changing of the channels. I think it's, you know, it's an absolutely amazing, and I have to say it's not the it's a technique that I was somewhat familiar with, but not framed up in the exact way that you framed it. But man, I could use this to really, because nowadays now it, you know, there's a lot of stress, there's a lot of, and maybe a little bit more often than not, I'm stuck in that other channel, and I'm gonna use that technique to positively shift into a more productive state of mind.
Great. And what I'm taking is the delight of meeting you and knowing that we're on similar paths in the world. I'm doing it my way, you're doing it your way, and it feels like we're part of the good flow. And that gives me more heart feeling, more mind feeling. So, and I thank Kim for suggesting that I be on the interview with you and carry on big time, because our world is hungry in a deep way. And so the deep hunger is really important and wants to be met with real stuff, not fake junk. So keep on.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, so folks, don't forget, it's the OASIS in the Overwhelm. That's Millie's website. Visit it, learn more about what she's doing. It's incredible work, and it's fantastic and very helpful. So thank you again, Millie, and we'll talk to you
Thank
soon.
you.
Have a great day.